Can XRP reach 10,000 per token? Arthur Brito shared another video here that talks about a $10,000 XRP and when. I think you guys might find this fun to watch. We also have a 25-year Wall Street vet spending over 1,000 hours researching XRP. His message to the community, we are going to play it. We also have large financial institutions teaming up with central banks to move tokenized deposits on blockchain rails. And yes, XRP is one of the solutions. Let's get into all of these stories and so much more. I'm going to break it all down for you. Let's start with this video here. First, can X still reach 10,000 per token?
They'll believe it's going to reach $10,000. I think big institutions are going to adapt. Swift is probably going to be non-existent in the next 10 to 20 years. We're also still in the beginning of cryptocurrency in general. Sometimes we tend to forget that Americans can be a little bit small-minded when it comes to crypto in general. He's going to be a worldwide crypto. It's going to transact money worldwide. So if you're small-minded thinking just America, then you're out of your fucking mind. 15, 20 years from now, that can reach $10,000.
Bold. I agree with the timeline here. It does take time to change our whole financial system. What's kind of held us back this whole time has been regulations and getting that global regulatory perimeter set up so financial institutions understand what they can and can't do using blockchain rails and moving that forward. We are seeing countries all over the world taking the initiative and getting legislation passed. I do think over the next few years, you're going to see an even bigger expansion, and the use of XRP, I think, will be at the heart of that expansion. 25 years on Wall Street, 1,000 hours researching XRP. This is a major accumulation zone. Let me go ahead and play this. At the same time, I was thinking to myself here, this gentleman spent 1,000 hours researching XRP. I wonder how much time I've spent on XRP over the last 6 years plus at this point. It's gotta be a staggering number. It would probably shock me. All right, here we go. Here's his message. Let me know what you guys think about this below.
Holders, I believe we have hit the bottom. Now, I have studied XRP for 1,000 hours. I worked on Wall Street for 25 years, but why I'm saying that is because today, $10 billion of options expired. Okay, so crap hit the fan, whether people were getting in or getting out. A lot of volume. Yesterday, with the ETFs, the banks, just if you know nothing else, just know, follow the banks, follow the big boys, what they're doing, follow the money. Bitcoin sold $700 million, the bank's holding it, the ETFs yesterday. Ethereum, almost 100 million. You know how much sold of XRP? Zero. The banks weren't selling, zero. In the biggest transaction day, with the expiration of options, if they didn't get out yesterday, they're staying in. And the ETFs have bought $1.5 billion. They're not going anywhere. They're long-term holders. XRP is going to be a huge part of the new global financial system. I don't know how you don't see it. Everything is going to blockchain, and XRP is going to be extremely valuable. Please look into it. There are going to be many people with tens of millions of dollars. Be one of them.
If XRP went to $1,000, $5,000, or $10,000 tomorrow, right? Just you woke up one day and it's there. What's the first thing that you're doing? Are you going and buying something? Are you having a party? You know, have you thought about it? I'm interested to hear, you know, what's some good ideas from the audience here. Let me know down below. Also, guys, let me know where you're watching from. I'm always eager to see all of the really unique and cool places people watch the channel from. Yeah, it's an honor to be able to share all of my research and just be on this journey with you. I just consider it an absolute honor. So thank you for your time. According to Glassnode data, XRP reserves across 10 major exchanges have dropped from 4 billion down to 1.6 to 1.7 billion range. This means that the XRP available supply currently is around 1.6, which accounts for about 2.56 of the entire 62.53 billion circulating supply. In other words, are we going to experience a supply squeeze? We're seeing this narrative kind of push more and more on X right now. Is it possible that we were wrong about XRP this whole time? Some said Clarity Bill would send XRP to 100. Some say the reverse carry trade will send XRP to 100. Or could it have been a supply shock this whole time that'll set everything off? Some are looking left, some are looking right. However, it might have been straight down this middle the whole time, roughly only 1.5 billion left on exchanges. Well, I think we're getting a little carried away here. I mean, the next post will be 1.4 billion, right? realistically, we're in this area. I think a lot of XRP holders don't find value of leaving their XRP on an exchange right now, taking it off and securing it while the market is chopping sideways and down. Like if you're not using it currently, there really is not a whole big point to leave it on that exchange unless that is where you feel the safest, right? Unless you don't really understand hardware wallets and all of those things, and you don't want to take the risk of trying to move the XRP off exchange. I totally understand that. Everybody's technical levels are at different places, but I just think people are not actively trading XRP, and that's why they're bringing it off exchanges. Bitwise just carried the entire XRP ETF yesterday. 7.12 million of the 7.69 million total inflow came from Bitwise. Franklin Templeton chipped in 576,000. It is incredible to see how much money has come into XRP ETFs. Look at this, almost 1.5 billion in inflows. Bitwise, 510 million. Franklin Templeton, 425 million. Canary Capital, 466 million. Looking strong. Grayscale here at 131.46 million. I did want to show you that Bitwise is approaching almost 300 million XRP in their XTrust to back their ETF. And we are about to hit 1 billion XRP locked up in ETFs here in the United States. I think that'll be a big news day, and I'm looking forward to covering that. We've been keeping an eye and keeping track of all of this over the past year since ETFs launched, and it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. All right, you did see this the other day that Italy's largest bank, Intesa Sanpaolo, is holding about 712,319 shares of Grayscale XRP Trust ETF. And we've gone ahead and verified this. ZF Crypto went into the SEC Gov website, clicks on this document in the middle here. It does bring up the holdings of this particular bank, and that's where you see a Grayscale Trust and how many shares right there. It could represent roughly, it said $18 million when I looked it up. Obviously, the price could fluctuate at this point, so it could be less when you're watching this, or you could be watching this in the future, and it could be worth a lot more. All right. King Solomon tracked down some really good research here on Project Agora. It says unifying ledger technology provider enables institutions to connect to public blockchain networks or deploy their own infrastructure. We're talking XRP Ledger, Solana, Stellar, Avalanche, Canton, Chainlink, and so many more. I showed this into a video on Saturday. You're probably watching this on Sunday. And here are all of the options through this. And also, he does give a great explanation. If you didn't watch my video, this will catch you up.
Project Agora, real value testing, 28 private sector institutions, Bank of England, Bank of France, Bank of Japan, Bank of Korea, Swiss National Bank, BNP Paribas, BNY, CaixaBank, Citi, Deutsche Börse, Eurex, JP Morgan, Lloyds Bank, MUFG, NatWest, Shinhan Bank, Standard Chartered, Sumitomo Mitsui, TD Bank, UBS, Warrior. The technology provider for real value testing within all of this is Kaleido. Here is the architecture just so you can see it. Real value testing environment. Here's a unifying ledger that everybody always talks about. What is Kaleido? Enterprise gateway to public chains. Instantly tap into public networks with a full suite of tools on the most trusted platform for enterprise development. XRPL is certainly an option. But so is Canton, so is Avalanche, so is BNB Chain, so is Solana, so is Stellar, Optimism, and so many more. You have, again, Project Agora, real value testing. They finally give us the technology provider, which is Kaleido. We go into Kaleido. The main page is the institutional platform for tokenization, custody, and digital assets, ecosystems and protocols. Enterprise gateway to public chains. And here you see all the big banking entities here. Choose from a variety of protocols. There's a deeper dive into this a little bit later that they did a blog post on. This is just earlier this year that talks about all of this. What is Kaleido chain infrastructure, public chains, all the supported networks, Arbitrum, Avalanche, Base, Hyperledger Besu, Bitcoin, BNB, Canton, Ethereum, EVM, Gnosis, Linea, Optimism, Polygon, XRPL, Solana, and Stellar. They have an EVM gateway. They have permission chains. Long story short, as I've said and told you guys multiple times, the proof seems to be with everything that I'm seeing, and there are certainly going to be individual use cases on individual networks, certainly XRP ledger is included within that, just like we see with Hedera, just like we see R3 going live on Solana, just like we see across the board. XLM and Stellar is another good example of certainly individual use cases that we're seeing. But it's also kind of this option thing. The entire aspect of Internet of Value and what the banks and what the financial institutions are essentially doing here is they're betting on the space. And then you have kind of these interoperability providers that are essentially gateways via API access or whatever it may be, like Kaleido, that gives the banks options to whatever they want to use. So if Bank A is on XRPL or is a Ripple client, and Bank B is a Stellar client, and Bank C is on Solana, and Bank D is on Hedera, and Bank E is on Canton, it's literally not going to matter because they're all going to be able to interoperate. The entire point of what is happening and what we're witnessing right now is that the best networks, the best assets, the best technologies, corresponding relationships, banks and banking entities are going to use whatever they trust, and they're going to be able to interoperate through platforms such as Kaleido. They're going to be able to settle however they want to settle in whatever currency they want to settle in, whether that's crypto or fiat or tokenized deposits or whatever it may be. And here you go. So proof is in the pudding project. Agora, real value testing, the technology provider between all these banking entities, at least the verified documentation that you don't even have to connect dots with because it's right in front of our eyes, is Kaleido, and Kaleido connects into all the networks we already talk about anyways.
All right. And make sure you're following King Solomon. My man does incredible research. Definitely one of the good ones, and just my hat's off to him. Then Smoke Dog did cover this. Project Agora uses two-layer architecture to connect the fiat currencies of central banks. Meanwhile, XRP is designed to make any fiat currency liquid against any other fiat currency. This positions XRP as an efficient bridge asset for global foreign exchange settlement between financial institutions. That objective closely aligns with the ultimate vision of the BIS Project Agora. Documentation is below. And so you see all these different currencies that they were using or considering. And of course, we do know XRP is the world's greatest and best bridge asset, in my personal opinion. We also have this new update from Token Relations about RLUSD. This is Jack McDonald. This was just posted a few hours ago, I believe. It's a little fuzzy. I do apologize. I can't fix that.
The more and more activity, we issued RLUSD natively on the X Ledger out of the gates. The more activity, every time we mint RLUSD on the X Ledger, every time there's a transaction on the X Ledger, XRP is the native gas token, has utility. It's the grease in the wheels, if you will, that makes everything work. And so as we've grown from 0 to almost 700 million here, there's a lot of activity that is a result of that happening on the X Ledger that in turn is using XRP as that bridge asset. As it relates to payments, the last thing I would say, there are some customers who want to continue to use a cryptocurrency as a bridge asset. XRP really purpose-built, among other things, for being a bridge asset on the payments platform.
All right. And then last but not least, I did have this Odelia Tortman. AI agents are becoming autonomous economic entities, generating, trading, and monetizing on-chain. This is the next big boom of where transaction volume is going to come from. We're talking about possibly tens of billions of transactions per month here as we build up to this. This has kind of been out for a few months now. We've already seen we're approaching 2 million payments on the X Ledger. We're not quite there, but we're getting close. And so it is quickly building as far as merchants now using, and of course, machine-to-machine payments using XRP and RLUSD.
What they do.
The last point you touch on, which is something I want to double click on, is of course the whole world of the agentic web, right? And the agentic finance, obviously huge. We've been extremely focusing on that. What happens when you put autonomous agents that are working across this ever increasing list of portfolio of assets that are now being tokenized, to your point now also that can be put and defined per the risk scoring of each individual consumer/institutions, and then being built into different tranches, translated into investment strategy, everything being automated end to, I think, is absolutely fascinating. We've recently also launched the AI Toolkit, which enables to automate a lot of these aspects. And just by the way, a week ago, we have reached 1 million transactions generated by agents on the XRP ledger. So extremely excited about that as well. And on that note, I think we're very...
All right, guys, there is the video. Please comment, like, and share. I greatly appreciate your time. Have a good rest of your weekend. I will see you in the next one. I'm Crypto Sensei. Aloha.